Okay, so now let's go to the process. What is the process, the F2 visa application process?
Good question. Let me say upfront that the F2 visa application process is not so widely different from the F1 visa application process. It is essentially the same thing with maybe one added step. So what are the things? You first of all would need to get a Form I-20 from your school. So if you're an F1 student trying to file for your F2 spouse or child, then you need an updated I-20 that would add your spouse and your child or both of them on your I-20. And then there's requirement for that, of course, which is the financial requirement that you have to, bump up. You have to bump up your finances to meet the requirement, the estimate requirement for a family beyond what a single person would need. So there's that, and then you have to do that and get your Form I-20. After you got your Form I-20, you fill in your DS-160 form online like you did when you were filing for yourself as an F1 student, right? So you fill out a Form DS-160 for your spouse and your children separately, right? You do all of that. And you pay the visa fees for each of them separately. And that's the sad side of the application process, because it is costing incurring in that way, which is you pay $160 for yourself if you're applying together, and then you also pay $160 for your spouse and $160 for your kids, and so on and so forth. So it's expensive because they each need their own visa, what they call it, application ID number. So that's part of that. The good thing of the application process is that they don't need to pay a new CVS number. They don't need to pay for their CVS fee because it's already been paid for by you, right? So your principal visa, CVS ID sort of covers them. They'll have their own unique CVS IDs, but you don't have to pay for that. So that's a good part about payment when it comes to the visa application process. When you get to the interview section, when you're filling out, you finish your DS-160, you filled all of that for each of them, right? And each of them will have their own printed out DS-160 confirmation page individually, right? When you get to the visa appointment interview portal, once you start doing that, they'll ask you, are you applying alone? You say no, right? And then you add a dependent. They'll ask you to add all the dependents that are coming with you. And immediately you add the dependent, then it will generate a unique form for you that you don't necessarily need to fill out separate interview forms for them. Rather, it is that one interview form but added dependents. Right? So all that you have to do is they'll create other spaces for you to put in their unique passports, each of them. Another place for you to put in their DS-160 confirmation numbers, each of them. Another place for you to put in their CVS ID, because each of them will have unique CVS IDs, and it will only be added to your F1 sort of like process. So you do that interview. The interview is one, and the dates that you choose is for everybody that is on it as your dependent. That's the only difference with that.